I agree with this to a certain extent. While the policy promotes economic growth, I agree with this to a certain extent due to its social drawbacks. It is a clear indication that the decline in newspaper circulation is a clear indication that digital media dominates information access. Making contributions to society and culture. Making contributions to society and culture through volunteerism fosters empathy and civic responsibility. On a regular basis. Teachers assess student progress on a regular basis to ensure academic development. The government should act decisively. The government should act decisively when public health is at risk, ensuring swift and effective measures. There is a strong probability. There is a strong probability that climate change will intensify natural disasters. With the remarkable improvement in technology. Education has transformed with the remarkable improvement in technology, offering global access to quality learning. Rapid advances are being made. Rapid advances are being made in renewable energy, reducing dependence on fossil fuels. I give my opinion to the former. Of the two options, raising taxes or cutting public services, I give my opinion to the former for its economic stability. It is commonly accepted that regular exercise contributes to better mental health. It is quite unpredictable that technological advancements will always lead to social progress. Considerable progress has been made. Considerable progress has been made in gender equality in many developed nations. These are undeniable facts that education plays a crucial role in national development. It is generally acknowledged that climate change is driven by human activity. It represents more advantages than disadvantages. The use of renewable energy represents more advantages than disadvantages for long-term sustainability. A significant number of people support stricter environmental regulations. As far as we are concerned, public health must take precedence in any national emergency. Over the last few decades, Internet access has expanded dramatically. X has been supported by sound reasons. The shift toward electric vehicles has been supported by sound reasons including sustainability and innovation. A considerable number of visitors attend international conferences in major cities. As a general rule, countries with transparent governance tend to experience higher economic growth. Over the last few centuries, global trade has shaped economic systems. To compete with international companies, domestic brands need to enhance product quality and branding. At the turn of the century, global awareness of climate change increased significantly. To contribute to general education, public broadcasting services exist to contribute to general education through informative programming. From an economic perspective, tourism contributes significantly to national income. There is a sense of responsibility. There is a sense of responsibility in educators to nurture ethical and informed individuals. It is justifiable to say that education should be free for all citizens. It is generally agreed that climate change poses a serious threat to future generations. From a historical perspective, colonization has had lasting effects on global inequality. Broaden one's thoughts and vision. Reading literature from different eras can broaden one's thoughts and vision beyond contemporary norms. X is regarded as a top priority. Climate action is regarded as a top priority by international organizations. This example profoundly highlights. The case of Singapore's education model profoundly highlights the impact of strategic investment. There is a general perception that urban life is more stressful than rural living. The noteworthy feature of electric vehicles is their minimal environmental footprint. It is becoming more evident that climate change affects every aspect of life. It has no clear-cut solution to the problem. Poverty has no clear-cut solution to the problem, as it involves economic, social, and political factors. There is compelling evidence that air pollution contributes to respiratory diseases. Having a psychological burden. Students facing high academic pressure often end up having a psychological burden that hampers learning. With the booming of agriculture, food security has improved in many regions. X is the issue of trial and error. Parenting is the issue of trial and error, as no single approach fits every child. It is paramount to consider ethical implications in genetic research. In all aspects of human and social life. Education influences all aspects of human and social life by shaping values and knowledge. It is somewhat logical to compare urban and rural lifestyles when discussing quality of life. Measures should be implemented immediately. In response to the housing crisis, measures should be implemented immediately to protect vulnerable groups. To be capable of doing something innovative, individuals need both creativity and technical skills. X is a complex issue. Immigration policy is a complex issue involving legal, ethical, and economic considerations. Based on the data, one can conclude that urbanization contributes to environmental degradation. Effective competition in small businesses. Government subsidies can foster effective competition in small businesses by leveling the playing field. We feel a sense of achievement. After completing a challenging project, we feel a sense of achievement and pride. Another thing that can exacerbate the issue. Poor infrastructure is another thing that can exacerbate the issue of urban congestion. It is commonly asserted that climate change is the most pressing issue of our time. Another potential problem. In urban planning, another potential problem is the displacement of low-income communities. Exchange ideas and information. Online platforms enable students worldwide to exchange ideas and information in real time. Needless to say, pollution has a detrimental effect on public health. It has far-reaching consequences. The misuse of antibiotics has far-reaching consequences for global health. A simplistic solution to this problem. Banning social media is a simplistic solution to this problem of online bullying. They are thematically linked with each other. The documentaries are thematically linked with each other by their focus on environmental justice. To meet the needs for satisfaction. Consumers seek products that align with their values. It depletes time and energy. Commuting long distances daily depletes time and energy that could be used more constructively. There is no panacea for the setbacks. There is no panacea for the setbacks in education, especially in underfunded regions. It has a long-term effect on. Climate policy decisions today have a long-term effect on future generations. Social and economic progress. Education is a cornerstone of social and economic progress in developing nations. Spell various problems and hazards. Mismanagement of natural resources may spell various problems and hazards for future sustainability. Apologizing for misconduct. Leaders must be held accountable by apologizing for misconduct and taking corrective action. There is a significant correlation between X and Y. Studies show there is a significant correlation between physical activity and mental well-being. One unavoidable outcome of X. One unavoidable outcome of globalization is increased cultural blending. There are a number of unknown factors behind it. Climate change models remain uncertain because there are a number of unknown factors behind it. Be harmful to animals. Deforestation has proven to be harmful to animals by destroying their natural habitats. That will offer a number of job opportunities. Investment in digital infrastructure will offer a number of job opportunities in both urban and rural areas. X has adverse side effects on. Air pollution has adverse side effects on respiratory health. Mirror social advancement and progress. Changes in gender roles mirror social advancement and progress toward equality. Attach great importance to the culture. Schools should attach great importance to the culture of inclusivity and diversity. There is an association between X and Y. Research confirms there is an association between screen time and reduced attention span in children. This is indirectly related to. The decline in biodiversity is indirectly related to industrial expansion. We should put more emphasis on it. Mental health awareness is growing, but we should put more emphasis on it in workplace policies. It relieves social tension and stress. Physical exercise relieves social tension and stress by improving mental health. Some of the root causes are. Traffic congestion is worsening. Some of the root causes are poor urban planning and overpopulation. To promote mutual understanding. Learning foreign languages is essential to promote mutual understanding in global communities. An underlying assumption. The argument relies on an underlying assumption that economic growth leads to social well-being. Focus on the leading reasons. Researchers should focus on the leading reasons for climate migration. The principal reason for this is that. The principal reason for this is that many students lack motivation due to outdated teaching methods. On the positive side. On the positive side, globalization increases access to diverse products and ideas. On the negative side. On the negative side, globalization may erode local cultures and traditions. From time to time. From time to time, technological breakthroughs redefine how industries operate. With this in mind. With this in mind, students should be encouraged to develop critical thinking skills. In many countries around the world. In many countries around the world, renewable energy is gaining popularity. At the present time. At the present time, many countries are struggling to manage inflation and economic instability. There has little agreement on whether standardized testing reflects true intelligence. Up to the present time. Up to the present time, efforts to reduce global poverty have yielded mixed results. It is a gateway to knowledge. The Internet is a gateway to knowledge, offering instant access to global information. Many people are of the opinion that university education should be free for all. It is relatively a new phenomenon. Climate migration is relatively a new phenomenon in global policy discussions. Most people tend to agree with it. Most people tend to agree with it when experts say that mental health should be prioritized in schools. It is no longer possible. With the rise of automation, it is no longer possible to rely solely on manual labor. The main loophole of this issue is that The main loophole of this issue is that it lacks a clear accountability mechanism. The bottom line is this. Education reform must prioritize equity and access. A growing number of people are working remotely to achieve better work-life balance. These are important driving factors. Urbanization and globalization are important driving factors in cultural transformation. To put it differently, education is not just about knowledge but also about shaping character. A common opinion is that university degrees improve job prospects. An additional advantage of it is that it lowers operational costs for businesses. It has become a central issue. Data privacy has become a central issue in the digital age. One of the most important benefits of online learning is accessibility for students in remote areas. Technology plays a key role in enhancing productivity across industries. The theory has been refuted by experts who argue it lacks empirical support. There are two broad categories of learning styles, visual and auditory. Another essential point is the need for transparency in government spending. There are a number of dissimilarities between X and Y. There are a number of dissimilarities between urban and rural lifestyles. It is a very convincing argument. It is a very convincing argument that stricter environmental laws can reduce pollution levels. Past studies have reported that early childhood education improves long-term academic outcomes. There was widespread agreement. During the summit, there was widespread agreement on the need for global climate action. There is considerable concern about it. Among parents, due to rising screen time in children. Debate is taking place between X and Y. Debate is taking place between educators and policymakers regarding standardized testing. People have mixed feelings about genetically modified foods and their long-term effects. It has become a subject of intense debate. Genetic modification of crops has become a subject of intense debate among scientists and consumers. There is widespread support for free public education in developing countries. In the 1940s and 1960s, global migration patterns shifted due to war and reconstruction. It is a challenging question. It is a challenging question to determine the ethical limits of genetic engineering. A broader perspective has been demonstrated. By including cultural factors in economic models. Many people believe that governments should provide free healthcare to all citizens. A methodological approach has been taken. In this study, a methodological approach has been taken to analyze urban sustainability. It would seem logical to prioritize education funding to improve national development. Qualitative and quantitative approaches were applied. In the research, qualitative and quantitative approaches were applied to assess student performance. X is the main focus of attention. In recent years, mental health has become the main focus of attention in public health campaigns. In the subsequent part of the study, policy implications will be discussed in detail. There are both benefits and drawbacks. to globalization, especially in terms of cultural preservation. From the recent experiment, researchers concluded that peer collaboration enhances learning outcomes. To clarify this issue, policymakers must consult both scientific data and public opinion. The overall structure of the project. The overall structure of the project was designed to ensure clarity and coherence in presentation. An example to illustrate this point. An example to illustrate this point is the rise of remote work, showing how technology reshapes employment. The term X is referred to throughout this research. The term sustainability is referred to throughout this research in the context of urban planning. There is a contradiction between X and Y. There is a contradiction between the school's inclusive mission and its selective admission criteria. A considerable amount of time. Researchers invested a considerable amount of time in refining the survey instrument. X is adversely affected by. Mental health is adversely affected by prolonged exposure to social media. A growing body of researchers. A growing body of researchers supports the integration of AI in healthcare diagnostics. It is widely accepted that. It is widely accepted that regular exercise contributes to better physical and mental health. More laboratory research is desperately needed. More laboratory research is desperately needed to develop effective vaccines for emerging diseases. It is widely believed that. It is widely believed that early childhood education has lifelong benefits. Poor access to safe water and sanitation. Poor access to safe water and sanitation contributes to the spread of preventable diseases. There is a growing concern over this. There is a growing concern over this in urban areas due to rising pollution levels. It is their tendency. It is their tendency to avoid confrontation, which can hinder open communication. It is widely argued that. It is widely argued that standardized testing fails to measure true intelligence. The results of the topic indicate that. The results of the topic indicate that urbanization increases environmental stress. X is considered a relatively new phenomenon. Remote work is considered a relatively new phenomenon that challenges traditional office culture. Across many sectors and disciplines. Sustainability is now a key concern across many sectors and disciplines. Over the last 20 years. Over the last 20 years, obesity rates have risen due to sedentary lifestyles and processed foods. It is predictable, therefore preventable. Seasonal flu outbreaks are predictable, therefore preventable through vaccination. In today's globalized world. In today's globalized world, economic interdependence shapes national policies. Recent evidence indicates that. Recent evidence indicates that online learning improves accessibility but may reduce engagement. In the last century. In the last century, urbanization has transformed the way people live and work. At the end of the day. At the end of the day, education should empower individuals to think critically, which in turn leads to. Poor diet contributes to obesity, which in turn leads to chronic health conditions. The overall condition of the situation. The overall condition of the situation reflects systemic inequality and lack of access. It is apparent that. It is apparent that digital literacy is now a fundamental skill in education. Almost two-thirds of the participants. Almost two-thirds of the participants preferred online learning over traditional classrooms.
In today's globalized world. In today's globalized world, economic interdependence shapes national policies. Recent evidence indicates that. Recent evidence indicates that online learning improves accessibility but may reduce engagement. In the last century, urbanization has transformed the way people live and work. At the end of the day, education should empower individuals to think critically, which in turn leads to. Poor diet contributes to obesity, which in turn leads to chronic health conditions. The overall condition of the situation. The overall condition of the situation reflects systemic inequality and lack of access. It is apparent that digital literacy is now a fundamental skill in education. Almost two-thirds of the participants. Almost two-thirds of the participants preferred online learning over traditional classrooms. It must be admitted that traditional education methods are becoming outdated. Comparing the two experiments. Comparing the two experiments highlights the impact of environmental variables on outcomes. During the past century, global migration patterns have shifted significantly. It is 10 times more active than. This enzyme is 10 times more active than the one found in mammals. It is a well-established fact that education reduces poverty and promotes equality. The surprising fact is that renewable energy now outpaces coal in several countries. We cannot deny the fact that climate change poses a serious threat to future generations. The policy was implemented in accordance with the recommendations of the Health Ministry. This is a widely held belief that happiness cannot be measured by wealth alone. There is a similarity between X and Y. There is a similarity between traditional and digital marketing strategies in targeting audiences. There is a tendency toward this among consumers who value sustainability over convenience. X is susceptible to this type of nature. Children are susceptible to this type of nature when exposed to violent media. To find out an alternative solution to this phenomenon, governments must collaborate to find out an alternative solution to this phenomenon of climate migration. They are prone to this type of habit. Office workers are prone to this type of habit due to sedentary lifestyles, having a huge demand for something. Urban areas are having a huge demand for affordable housing. There is a slight difference between X and Y. There is a slight difference between urban and suburban air quality levels. X has both positive and negative development. Urban expansion has both positive and negative development, improving infrastructure but harming ecosystems. The results were rather disappointing. With only 10% of participants achieving the target outcome. One logical conclusion would be to invest more in renewable energy to combat climate change. There is overexposure to things such as processed foods in urban diets. All things considered, public transport is more sustainable than private vehicles. More research needs to be undertaken. On the psychological impact of remote learning. It has become an indispensable part of our life. Smartphones have become an indispensable part of our life, offering instant access to information. There is no general agreement about the ethical boundaries of AI development. I am totally convinced that climate action must be prioritized by all governments. X may be divided into 3 subgroups. Learning styles may be divided into 3 subgroups: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. It can contribute to. Government funding can contribute to better access to education in rural areas. There is a frequent tendency for governments to prioritize short-term gains over long-term planning. It is generally admitted that education is the foundation of a prosperous society. There are two important reasons why urban areas face congestion, poor planning, and population growth. I entirely agree with the argument that early childhood education is crucial for long-term development. The smaller the size, the higher the strength. In structural engineering, the smaller the size of the beam, the higher the strength-to-weight ratio. Another distinguishing feature of online learning is its flexibility in scheduling. It is generally claimed that technology improves productivity across industries. These are beneficial. Language exchange programs promote cultural understanding. These are beneficial for global cooperation. A reliable source of information. Government databases offer a reliable source of information on population statistics. This approach is well worth considering. Introducing mindfulness in schools is well worth considering to improve student focus and well-being. It has several practical implications. This policy has several practical implications for urban development. These are convenient and efficient. Ebooks are convenient and efficient alternatives to traditional textbooks. The key strengths of X. The key strengths of renewable energy are sustainability and low environmental impact. Something has greatly influenced people's lives. The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly influenced people's lives, reshaping work, travel, and education. Comparing the two results. Comparing the two results highlights the impact of environmental factors on productivity. One serious problem is inherent in urban planning, which often neglects green spaces. More study is needed to better understand. More study is needed to better understand the relationship between diet and cognitive function. It has its own merits and drawbacks. Globalization has its own merits and drawbacks, boosting trade while threatening cultural identity. It happens for a variety of reasons. Obesity happens for a variety of reasons, such as poor diet and sedentary lifestyle. The problem has been compounded by climate change has been compounded by deforestation and industrial pollution. There is a weakness in this theory. There is a weakness in this theory due to its reliance on outdated data. The latest development in technology. The latest development in technology allows doctors to perform remote surgeries using robotic tools. According to a recent study conducted by WHO, air pollution contributes to millions of deaths annually. There is a significant impact on biodiversity caused by urban expansion. One main drawback of this approach is the lack of personalized feedback. The situation can be exacerbated by misinformation spread through social media. It is expected to decline sharply. Fossil fuel consumption is expected to decline sharply as renewable energy becomes more accessible. There is a direct relationship between X and Y. There is a direct relationship between physical activity and mental well-being. There has been a steady decline. There has been a steady decline in biodiversity due to deforestation. A number of drawbacks have resulted from urban sprawl, such as traffic congestion and pollution. Another alternative way to combat this issue is by implementing stricter regulations. It is important to realize the value of mental health and overall well-being. Having reliable sources of information. In academic writing, having reliable sources of information strengthens the credibility of arguments. There are numerous reasons why urban areas face congestion, such as poor planning and population growth. Short-term interest causes the problem. In politics, short-term interest causes the problem of inconsistent policy implementation. In the final analysis, economic growth must be balanced with environmental sustainability. Despite these compelling arguments, the issue continues to divide public opinion. Despite its safety and efficacy, genetically modified food continues to face public skepticism. Both factors should be considered. When evaluating student success, both factors should be considered: academic performance and well-being. It has become a ubiquitous part of learning. Online platforms have become a ubiquitous part of learning in higher education. To be keen on something. Many people are keen on adopting sustainable lifestyles. This is not yet clear. Whether climate agreements will lead to measurable change is not yet clear. The overall picture of the issue is that mental health services remain underfunded. There is a school of thought. That argues economic growth should take precedence over environmental concerns. A controversial issue aroused over the ethical use of facial recognition technology. There is an ongoing debate on the ethical implications of genetic engineering. In light of the above evidence, early intervention programs should be expanded. At the same time, urban development boosts the economy. At the same time, it can damage natural habitats. Renewable energy plays an increasingly important role in global sustainability efforts. It is a fundamental property of water to expand when frozen, affecting climate systems. The advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. Of online education in terms of accessibility. It has a major public health concern. Obesity is now recognized as a major public health concern worldwide. It can result in a serious problem. Ignoring climate change can result in a serious problem for future generations. X has profound health consequences. Chronic stress has profound health consequences on both mental and physical well-being. I am inclined to believe that stricter laws are necessary to protect online privacy. It can be divided into two main categories. Learning styles can be divided into two main categories, visual and auditory. To deal with large businesses, tax reforms are essential to deal with large businesses that exploit loopholes. The rapid development of e-commerce has reshaped consumer behavior. This helps to widen one's horizon. Reading diverse literature helps to widen one's horizon and develop empathy. It has been extensively used. Plastic has been extensively used in packaging despite its environmental impact. It is important to point out that economic growth does not always reduce poverty. The current research found that urban noise levels significantly affect sleep quality. Take many things into consideration. Policymakers should take many things into consideration before implementing new laws. It is graded on the basis of the IELTS speaking test is graded on the basis of fluency, pronunciation, and lexical range. For the need for education development. Digital infrastructure must be improved for the need for education development in rural areas. There are certain problems associated with urbanization, including pollution and overcrowding. To be aware of the environmental problem. Media campaigns help people to be aware of the environmental problem caused by plastic waste. The central thesis of this research focuses on the impact of digital media on adolescent behavior. Much attention should be focused on sustainable urban planning to reduce pollution. The main objective of this study is to analyze consumer behavior in e-commerce platforms. Social and economic integration. Education plays a vital role in achieving social and economic integration. There are three key aims of this study. Understanding causes, measuring effects, and recommending policies. Another key noticeable change is the growing demand for plant-based diets. This view is supported by many people. Concerned about climate change and its global effects. The key detrimental effect of fast fashion is environmental degradation. The link between social and cultural development. The link between social and cultural development can be seen in community-based education initiatives. These three factors are equally important. In urban planning, these three factors are equally important: sustainability, accessibility, and safety. X is a topic of public interest. Mental health is a topic of public interest, especially among younger generations. Be detrimental to economic progress. Political instability is often detrimental to economic progress in developing nations. The study has been divided into three parts. The study has been divided into three parts to address theoretical, empirical, and practical dimensions. Apart from the positive aspects. Apart from the positive aspects of remote work, it can cause social isolation. It has been suggested that governments impose stricter regulations on carbon emissions. They are different from historical events. Online revolutions are different from historical events due to their speed and global reach. Information collected from several sources. The report is based on information collected from several sources, including surveys and interviews. They both are interconnected with each other. Mental health and physical health are interconnected with each other and should be treated holistically.
There is a consensus among the science community. There is a consensus among the science community regarding the effectiveness of vaccines in disease prevention. It can cause many unforeseen problems. Over-reliance on AI can cause many unforeseen problems in decision-making processes. Present evidence suggests that air pollution contributes to cognitive decline in older adults. Give rise to social awareness. Educational reforms often give rise to social awareness regarding inequality. The poorest segment of people. Government subsidies should prioritize the poorest segment of people to reduce inequality. The result can be counterproductive. Strict censorship may be counterproductive by fueling public distrust. We need urgent and immediate attention. The rise in antibiotic resistance demands urgent and immediate attention from health authorities. In comparison with the old version. Electric cars are more efficient and environmentally friendly. At the top of this concern is the lack of affordable housing in urban areas. Decomposable materials should be used. In packaging industries, decomposable materials should be used to promote sustainability. It is important to note that economic growth does not always translate into improved living standards. There is a combination of many factors. Academic success depends on a combination of many factors such as motivation, resources, and teaching quality. The correlation between X and Y was observed. The correlation between income level and life expectancy was observed across multiple regions. Depression from work pressure. Many employees suffer from depression from work pressure due to unrealistic expectations. Focusing on a holistic and integrated approach. Focusing on a holistic and integrated approach to education fosters creativity and emotional intelligence. This promotes the stability and prosperity of society. Transparent governance promotes the stability and prosperity of society. It varies from country to country. Access to healthcare varies from country to country due to differences in infrastructure and policy. There are manifold reasons. There are manifold reasons for the rise in urban migration, such as employment and education. The difference between X and Y is highlighted. The difference between rural and urban healthcare access is highlighted in mortality rates. From an overall perspective, From an overall perspective, globalization has boosted trade but widened inequality. The most surprising aspects of X. The most surprising aspects of AI include its ability to mimic human creativity. Often overlooked. The role of teachers in shaping student values is often overlooked in education policy. By end of the investigation. By end of the investigation, the team identified key factors contributing to urban poverty. To put it another way, climate change is not just an environmental issue but a human rights concern. Primary to tertiary level. Government funding should support institutions from the primary to tertiary level for inclusive growth. It has long been a common issue. It has long been a common issue that standardized tests fail to measure creativity. An overwhelming number of people are doing this thing than ever before. An overwhelming number of people are using digital payment systems than ever before. Contradictory theory suggests that. Contradictory theory suggests that economic growth does not always lead to improved well-being. It is a far more significant factor. In urban planning, accessibility is a far more significant factor than aesthetic appeal. All of a sudden, remote work became the norm during the pandemic. An initial objective of the study. An initial objective of the study involved identifying key barriers to healthcare access. In the first place, the policy lacked transparency and public consultation. It is linked to. High stress levels are linked to reduced productivity in the workplace. For the time being, travel restrictions are necessary to contain the outbreak. The recent results show a positive correlation between physical activity and mental health. To begin with, the education system needs reform to promote critical thinking. It is their propensity for impulsive behavior that contributes to poor financial decisions. Another common shortcoming of standardized testing is its failure to assess emotional intelligence. They are conditioned to this. In many cultures, they are conditioned to this hierarchical structure in family and work life. The most obvious advantage of remote work is increased flexibility. Precaution must be applied. In construction zones, precaution must be applied to prevent workplace accidents. It has been shown that regular physical activity reduces stress and anxiety. X can be classified on the basis of. Economic systems can be classified on the basis of ownership and control of resources. It is equally important to ensure access to education and healthcare. That can lead to poverty and death. Unregulated mining practices can lead to poverty and death in vulnerable communities. In the long run, sustainable practices benefit both businesses and the environment. X is an important issue for future study. The psychological effects of social media are an important issue for future study. There is growing apprehension on the rising cost of higher education. Groundbreaking survey of X. There is a groundbreaking survey of digital literacy among older adults. In like manner, education systems must evolve to meet modern challenges. There is a comprehensive analysis of X. There is a comprehensive analysis of the effects of bilingual education on cognitive development. As a matter of fact, climate change affects every continent. There are two types of effect. There are two types of effect from pollution: immediate health risks and long-term environmental damage. One of the interesting things about this is that remote work has increased productivity in some sectors. A probable explanation is that rising obesity rates stem from sedentary lifestyles and poor diets. There is room for argument about it. When discussing the ethics of genetic engineering. The evidence from the report suggests that urban pollution is linked to respiratory illnesses. I would counter this view because it fails to consider the mental health impact of academic pressure. There is a small chance that the vaccine may cause mild side effects. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why certain regions remain underdeveloped despite receiving international aid. There is no doubt that education is the foundation of national development. People have a conflicting view regarding the effectiveness of standardized testing. It happens simultaneously. In blended learning, online and face-to-face instruction happen simultaneously. This is an issue of public concern. The rising cost of education is an issue of public concern across many countries. There is a distinct difference between rural and urban healthcare access. There are both positive and negative sides. to remote work, depending on the industry. This is the first time the country has implemented a nationwide recycling initiative. X has always been an issue of heated debate. Climate change has always been an issue of heated debate in international forums. A considerable amount of data has been published. Regarding student performance in online education. To be more specific, the study focuses on adolescents aged 13 to 18. Notwithstanding these limitations, the findings remain relevant to policy development. There is a fundamental difference between X and Y. There is a fundamental difference between traditional and digital marketing strategies. In the following section of the study, results will be compared across demographic groups. Numerous studies have shown a link between physical activity and mental health. The system has drawbacks. The grading system has drawbacks, such as failing to measure creativity and emotional intelligence. Most of the time, urban dwellers experience higher stress levels than rural residents. One practical implication of climate research is the need for adaptive farming techniques. Research has generally suggested that social media affects self-esteem among teenagers. It should be taken into account. Cultural differences should be taken into account when designing international policies. It is frequently asserted that technology improves productivity. A well-known example of this is that A well-known example of this is that Singapore transformed its economy through strategic planning. It is a technological breakthrough. CRISPR gene editing is a technological breakthrough in medical science. It may have contributed to the decrease in improved healthcare access may have contributed to the decrease in infant mortality rates. X is generally regarded as renewable energy is generally regarded as the future of sustainable development. There is a marked fall in the number of physical bookstores as online shopping becomes dominant. A substantial amount of money. Governments allocate a substantial amount of money to healthcare systems. There is a degree of certainty. There is a degree of certainty in the link between poverty and limited educational access. One of the burning issues of the present world. Income inequality is one of the burning issues of the present world. X is generally understood that. It is generally understood that regular exercise improves both physical and mental health. An overwhelming number of people support stricter environmental regulations. There is a gradual rise in the number of electric vehicles on the road. The result of this is that urban areas are facing increased traffic congestion. It is completely a social phenomenon. Urban migration is completely a social phenomenon shaped by economic opportunity. Present evidence undermines the past theory. Present evidence undermines the past theory that saturated fats are the main cause of heart disease. X is by far the most important method. Recycling is by far the most important method for minimizing household waste. Throughout history, technological innovation has driven economic growth. Environmentally friendly elements. Packaging made from biodegradable materials includes environmentally friendly elements. From a global perspective, access to quality education is still unevenly distributed. It should be compulsory for everyone. Recycling should be compulsory for everyone to reduce environmental damage. It is a proven fact that early childhood education enhances cognitive development. The present condition has aroused wide concern. The present condition of youth unemployment has aroused wide concern in developing countries. X is characterized as. Fast fashion is characterized as a high-consumption, low-sustainability industry. To come up with the right decision. In complex legal cases, judges rely on precedent to come up with the right decision. According to a recent survey, most consumers are willing to pay more for eco-friendly products. Pollution is responsible for. Air pollution is responsible for a surge in respiratory illnesses in urban populations. X should be prioritized over any other things. Education should be prioritized over any other things in national development plans. There is a heated debate on the current issue. Of mandatory vaccination policies. Advancement in science and technology. Advancement in science and technology enables faster communication and global collaboration.
It can be deduced that, based on recent trends, remote work is becoming a permanent fixture in many industries. It has drawn great public attention. The use of facial recognition technology has drawn great public attention due to privacy concerns. The argument on both sides has shown The argument on both sides has shown that economic growth and environmental protection must be balanced. Therefore, it can be said that urban planning must incorporate sustainability. It can be concluded that urban planning must prioritize sustainability to ensure long-term livability. These are useful for all age groups. Physical activities like walking and yoga are useful for all age groups. I am entirely opposed to this issue. I am entirely opposed to this issue of increasing surveillance without public consent. It is obvious that technology has transformed the way people interact. It should be stated that economic growth does not automatically reduce inequality. It should be emphasized that mental health support is essential in schools. We should have a sense of cooperation. In multicultural societies, we should have a sense of cooperation to foster inclusion and respect. There is a strong possibility of rising sea levels affecting coastal cities. It should be noted that technological advancement can widen the digital divide. Education has a major impact on economic development and social mobility. Acquiring knowledge and skills empowers individuals to make informed decisions in daily life. One potential solution to this problem is increasing access to mental health services. Having a financial burden can negatively impact mental health and academic performance. There is an insurmountable impact on public health from prolonged exposure to air pollution. Make joint efforts to tackle the problem. To reduce poverty, NGOs and local authorities should make joint efforts to tackle the problem. People need a functional approach to balancing technology use and personal well-being. Lay a solid foundation for further improvement. Investing in infrastructure will lay a solid foundation for further improvement in economic growth. They are addicted to video games. Some adults are addicted to video games as a form of escapism from daily stress. Appropriate measures should be taken. To prevent future outbreaks, appropriate measures should be taken in public health systems. A progressive trend toward plant-based diets is evident in urban populations. We still have a long way to go. Gender equality has improved, but we still have a long way to go in achieving true workplace equity. To be confident of economic stability, nations must maintain low inflation and high employment rates. The government should come up with a practical solution. To reduce youth unemployment, the government should come up with a practical solution involving vocational training. This is convenient for public institutions. Online portals are convenient for public institutions to manage citizen services. Having different attitudes toward this issue. Citizens and policymakers are having different attitudes toward this issue of climate responsibility. Keep pace with contemporary society. To keep pace with contemporary society, businesses must embrace digital transformation. Several measures should be taken. To combat cybercrime, several measures should be taken, including stricter laws and public education. Social status and hierarchy. Social status and hierarchy often determine access to elite education. There is a matter of great concern. The increasing dropout rate among students is a matter of great concern for educators. The results are utterly predictable. In high-pressure environments, the results are utterly predictable: burnout and reduced productivity. Analyzing the pros and cons. Before implementing new education policies, analyzing the pros and cons is essential. Give top priority to the immediate problem. Health authorities should give top priority to the immediate problem of hospital overcrowding. X has made the situation worse. Rising inflation has made the situation worse for low-income families. Another factor contributing to poor academic performance is lack of parental involvement. There will have unexpected outcomes. Rapid globalization may have unexpected outcomes on local economies and traditions. In other words, education is not just a right, but a tool for empowerment. There is a growing awareness among general people. Regarding mental health and emotional well-being. There are a number of facts indicating that pollution affects mental health. Broaden one's scope of knowledge. Studying abroad allows students to broaden one's scope of knowledge through cultural immersion. One convincing explanation in favor of renewable energy is its sustainability. The problem is both physically and mentally. Academic pressure is both physically and mentally harmful to students. People overlook the fact that fast fashion contributes to environmental degradation. There is a strong connection between X and Y. There is a strong connection between education and economic development. An alternative method has been used. In recent studies, an alternative method has been used to measure air quality. Compared with the past, modern transportation is faster and more efficient. A strong link may exist between X and Y. A strong link may exist between socioeconomic status and academic achievement.
The problem is threefold, involving environmental, economic, and social dimensions. It is now considered a worldwide epidemic. Stress-related illnesses are now considered a worldwide epidemic. The problem frequently stems from obesity, frequently stems from poor dietary habits and sedentary lifestyles. It has twice the impact on lack of education has twice the impact on rural communities than urban ones. Take advantage of information technology. Businesses can take advantage of information technology to streamline operations and reduce costs. It has been a long-standing problem. Access to clean water has been a long-standing problem in many developing countries. One leading cause of this problem is poor waste management practices. Perhaps the most important factor in climate resilience is community engagement. X has a powerful influence on education, has a powerful influence on shaping future generations. It has increased throughout the period. The demand for renewable energy has increased throughout the period as awareness of climate change grew. Other key factors that contribute to academic success are motivation and parental support. Lack of access to education may cause long-term economic disparity. Most compelling evidence points to early education as critical for cognitive development. The primary concern of online education is that it may reduce student engagement. Another logical reason to support online education is its accessibility for remote learners. It has been studied by many experts. The psychological effects of social isolation have been studied by many experts. It is quite common these days to see students pursuing online degrees. X has explained that The UN has explained that sustainable development requires global cooperation. There are mainly two schools of thought about. Globalization. Some view it as progress, others as exploitation. This can be classified in terms of learning styles, can be classified in terms of sensory preference. The evidence supports this assumption. The evidence supports this assumption that urbanization leads to increased pollution. X is used interchangeably. Online learning and e-learning are used interchangeably in academic literature. It has widely been published. The benefits of early childhood education have widely been published across educational platforms. An additional argument to support this view. An additional argument to support this view is the reduction in healthcare costs through preventive care. This research highlights the need for improved mental health services. In the meantime, students can access online resources while schools remain closed. X is far more cost-effective. Online education is far more cost-effective than traditional classroom learning. Many people proclaim that climate change is the most pressing issue of our time. Another potential problem is that AI could replace human jobs in certain sectors. The most worrying aspect of X is that the most worrying aspect of urbanization is that it often leads to environmental degradation. It has been demonstrated that early intervention leads to better academic outcomes. One major pitfall of globalization is the erosion of local cultures. It provides an in-depth analysis of. This article provides an in-depth analysis of the psychological impact of social media. My conviction that environmental protection must be prioritized stems from scientific consensus. A number of studies have investigated the effects of bilingualism on cognitive development. I would like to add that parental involvement greatly influences academic success. Of the project, several attempts have been made to engage local communities in decision-making. The advantages are stronger than the drawbacks. The advantages of remote work are stronger than the drawbacks for most professionals. X is largely based on empirical research. The new curriculum design is largely based on empirical research conducted over 5 years. Several explanations have been offered. For rising inflation, such as supply chain disruptions. The positive aspects are outweighed by the negative. The positive aspects of globalization are outweighed by the negative consequences for local industries. This viewpoint is flawed. As it assumes all students learn in the same way. Their findings have been widely disseminated. At international conferences. This is becoming more widespread. Veganism is becoming more widespread as people become more health conscious. Mentoring and monitoring the performance. In education, mentoring and monitoring the performance of students enhances learning outcomes. The idea of X is strongly supported by. The idea of free education is strongly supported by international development agencies. There is no conclusive answer yet. There is no conclusive answer yet about the best method to teach critical thinking. These factors contribute to the rise in mental health issues among teenagers. It is far more difficult to implement policy than to draft it. The policy has been widely advocated. The policy of free public transport has been widely advocated in major cities. It has its constructive and destructive sides. Social media has its constructive and destructive sides in shaping public opinion. One of the remarkable facts about that is that it was implemented in over 50 countries. In order to combat the situation, stricter environmental regulations are necessary. The argument for this is that online education increases accessibility for remote learners. Some of the key characteristics of urban poverty are overcrowding, unemployment, and poor infrastructure. X is a topic of broad interest. Artificial intelligence is a topic of broad interest due to its impact on employment and ethics. It is apparent from the graph that urban populations consume more electricity than rural ones. The issue remains fully disputed. The issue of data privacy remains fully disputed in the age of digital surveillance. No significant difference was found. No significant difference was found in the income levels of men and women in the surveyed region. Despite the fact that renewable energy is cleaner, its initial cost remains a barrier for many countries. It has become more diverse and complex. Modern family structures have become more diverse and complex compared to previous generations. The worst part of this crisis is its disproportionate impact on vulnerable communities. Nowadays lives are more satisfying and fulfilling. With greater access to technology, nowadays lives are more satisfying and fulfilling. Every now and then, technological breakthroughs redefine how we live and work. A number of features identified in the survey reflect changing consumer preferences. The issues have a popularized public view. The issues related to mental health have a popularized public view that sometimes lacks scientific depth. In the final part of the investigation, demographic variables were considered. It has commonly been thought that economic growth leads to social progress. These outcomes indicate that remote work enhances productivity in certain sectors. No evidence has been found in X. No evidence has been found in historical records to confirm the existence of the lost civilization. It confirms the association between. The data confirms the association between income level and access to healthcare. Up to now little evidence has been found. Regarding the impact of AI on emotional intelligence. To conduct with each other. Researchers must conduct with each other across disciplines to solve global challenges. Although it has some negative aspects, remote work offers flexibility and autonomy. There are a number of possible explanations for rising urban pollution.
It can be said that climate change is the defining issue of our generation. This inconsistency can be due to varying definitions of poverty across regions. Further investigation is recommended. Further investigation is recommended to explore the psychological impact of social isolation. They are inclined to this type of behaviors. Consumers are inclined to this type of behaviors during promotional sales that a natural progression of X can lead to. A natural progression of technological advancement can lead to job displacement. Undertaking scientific research. Governments should invest more in undertaking scientific research to address public health challenges. These cases support the view that stricter laws reduce traffic violations. It is associated with academic stress is often associated with poor sleep quality among students. For the most part, urban residents prefer public transport over private vehicles. Can be superseded by fossil fuels can be superseded by renewable energy sources in the long term. There is an inconsistency in this argument. Regarding the role of technology in education. No attempt was made to tackle this problem. Despite public concern, no attempt was made to tackle this problem in the latest budget proposal that a shortage of X can result in. A shortage of clean water can result in health crises and social unrest. It is a widely held view that climate change is driven by human activity. They are fundamentally identical to each other. These theories are fundamentally identical to each other despite minor terminological differences. It is almost certain that global temperatures will continue to rise without intervention. It is likely to drop steadily. Oil consumption is likely to drop steadily as renewable energy becomes more accessible. There are several possible explanations. For rising urban pollution levels. There is a slight increase in global temperatures each year due to climate change. It experienced a sharp decline in newspaper circulation experienced a sharp decline in the digital age, although it has some negative aspects. Remote work offers flexibility and autonomy. The main cause of urban congestion is inadequate public transport infrastructure. It can be said that climate change is the defining issue of our generation. The main goal of the current project is to evaluate the effectiveness of online learning platforms. Further investigation is recommended. To explore the psychological impact of social isolation. It has commonly been thought that economic growth leads to social progress, that a natural progression of X can lead to. A natural progression of technological advancement can lead to job displacement. No evidence has been found in X. No evidence has been found in historical records to confirm the existence of the lost civilization. These cases support the view that stricter laws reduce traffic violations. Up to now, little evidence has been found regarding the impact of AI on emotional intelligence. For the most part, urban residents prefer public transport over private vehicles. They are fundamentally identical to each other. These theories are fundamentally identical to each other despite minor terminological differences. There is an inconsistency in this argument. Regarding the role of technology in education. It is likely to drop steadily. Oil consumption is likely to drop steadily as renewable energy becomes more accessible. A shortage of X can result in. A shortage of clean water can result in health crises and social unrest. There is a slight increase in global temperatures each year due to climate change. They are fundamentally identical to each other. These theories are fundamentally identical to each other despite minor terminological differences. There is a slight increase in global temperatures each year due to climate change.